Hi, I'm Tracey Soltis.
And I'm Kali Alfaro. And you're listening to the Mind Body Studio, a place for anyone who wants to reach their full potential, thrive, and create a life filled with vitality.
Each week, we'll bring you our expertise, giggles, and a splash of quirky to explore real and relevant topics to help you along your life's journey.
We'll bring you science, psychology, and practicality to real life issues.
So, thanks for listening. We know you're going to love it. Welcome back to another episode, or actually another Q&A today. So this should be good. Thank you again to all of our lovely listeners who keep sending in their questions. And because we've got a pile of them here, we figured we might actually get to a few of them today for you. Isn't that right, Kalí?
Hello. Yes, that is right. And hello to everyone that's tuning in today. And once again, we're so grateful for all of the beautiful feedback that we constantly get. We're like really humbled by it. It's been such a beautiful experience.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny because even some of my friends who I wouldn't expect to actually want to listen to me talk are actually tuning in, and they're like, oh my gosh, I love that episode. That was so good. And it just makes my heart sing. Like it really does
really
make
sweet.
my heart sing. Don't you think? Like,
I love it. Yeah, it's a really beautiful thing. And I guess this is what happens when you put your mind together to actually go, actually, I have a little bit of knowledge and I'm going to share it with the world. And then people kind of tune in and absorb it. So as always, we couldn't be doing this without our awesome listeners. So this is for you guys. So all the love today is flowing out of us for you.
So much love. So what are we going to chat about today? Like, what's our question? Which one do you think we should get to today?
Why don't we do the one about like stagnant kind of relationships and how we can kind of like bring them back to life a little bit? And
because we have kind of had this happen between us, right, as friends. Like the last couple of weeks have been so busy. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, so I think to give our listeners a little bit of background, so Tracey and I both run our own businesses, and we are like these very busy entrepreneurial women out there trying to really help and support the community as much as we can in our own respective professions. And also we both have incredibly busy and nourishing social family lives. Mm-hmm. So the last couple of weeks have been really heavy because of what's been going on globally, and the heaviness has obviously entered into our workspace.
Yeah.
And so what this does oftentimes, and we have fallen into this recently, and this is pertinent to the question that we got, sometimes we kind of go into this rat race kind of pattern where we stop doing the things that are really good for us.
Yep.
And we just kind of go into autopilot. And so one of our listeners wrote in and kind of explained a little bit of a situation and said, what do we do when we've had a relationship that has been really sort of nourishing and full of vitality, and then suddenly it kind of stagnates a little bit? Like, what would be the recommendation?
Yeah, I love that question actually, because I think it is so applicable to so many friendships and relationships at any point, because you're right, we definitely run on autopilot at times. And I know for me, especially this week, it's just been trying to tackle one task at a time and then tick it off my list and go, all right, that's done. Now what? What can I do now? Okay, yep, next thing. Okay, done. And it's not even big things. It's like, okay, Charlotte's got her lunch ready. Tick. Charlotte's had a shower. Tick. She's ready for school. Yes, tick. Okay, I'm having a shower. I'm getting myself ready for work. Okay, what clients do I have today? It's just basic stuff like that. And before you know it, the days have just flown by. And I think it's really important to reach a point where you touch base with yourself and you go, okay, I need to make some time for myself, and I need to nourish myself and see what I need, but then also see how I can be reaching out to those around me as well. And so I think what we've done today is, because we've had that come up for both of us, and obviously our friendship is really important outside of our podcast. And so what we did is we sat down together and we looked at a few dates that we had available so that we could spend some quality time together.
Wait. Let's backtrack.
Okay, backing it up.
So one of the things that's really important, so both Tracey and I are massive planners, right? And so we plan the days that we are going to record our podcast, and we obviously need to plan around our businesses and whatnot. And there have been a couple of times where we've had to reschedule.
Yeah.
And around that planning of our podcast, because we were spending like quite a few hours recording and all of this stuff, some of the social time has been kind of cut away.
Yeah.
So we had a couple of really fun social events planned a few weeks ago, and we, I think you had to cut them because of some family commitments, and then I had to cut the following one because of some health issues or something that was going on. And so what we did was we actually sat down and went, we're doing too much responsible stuff. We need to go back to that sense of reconnection.
We're far too responsible.
Not really, but
I know.
So what we did was we decided that moving forwards, if we did cancel something, we would make a time there and then to like make a time to do it later on, even if it was like in a month or 2 months' time.
Yeah.
And I know that might sound like a little bit silly. I actually had a conversation with someone this week that said to me, I just like being spontaneous. Like I don't want to plan like months and months in advance. And I said, I've got such little amount of time available.
Yeah.
And I could just spread myself so thin between all of my activities and all of my friends and family that if I don't plan it, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's right. And I think there's room for some spontaneity, but I think in some regards you do have to have some sort of plan or structure. And people like to have an end point too. I speak to my clients about this in my clinic all the time, is that when they're going through significant changes on their journey, sometimes they do have to prioritize things over other things. And that is sometimes they're prioritizing over friendships. And that's okay, as long as you're actually giving that person some information as to when that end point's going to be, or actually making a plan with them, even if it is a few weeks down the track, just to give yourself some breathing space so that you can get the things done that you really want to get done, and then you're present for them when you do get to spend that time with them, and then they know that that's your time together.
But also I think on that note, it's so important to bring communication into it, right? So to bring that sense of, some people is so much more left brain, logical, linear planning, and other people are really heartfelt and like more empathic and more sensitive and more intuitive. So coming together and kind of going, all right, well, what is it that we need to do?
Yeah.
And, and the fun thing for our listeners, so today when we sat down and we're like, oh, cool, let's think about activities to do. And it was really fun because we actually connected to that little spark of let's do like this silly class, because we both know that we're so bloody unco.
I know, right?
It's just going to be giggles the whole time.
Exactly.
Right?
And how easy was that to kind of just sit down and go,
and
okay,
straight away. Book it.
Yeah, and we just booked it straight away, and then it's done. And then we know it's locked in, it's paid for. We don't have to worry about coming back to it at a later point and saying, oh, did you book in for that? Oh, no, I didn't book in for that. Oh, well, now I've got a ticket and you don't have a ticket.
Exactly.
There's none of that confusion, and it's not going to lead to any issues down the track because we did it on the spot. It's already done. It's in the diary.
So get on it, right? Just do it. Make time to, if you do realise that you fall off the wagon, just acknowledge that, voice your needs. Right. So I am definitely a person that needs to feel connected to the people that I'm working with.
Yeah.
Like that's just one of my basic human needs.
Yeah.
And I notice it in the people, like, I recently moved offices, and the people that are in my building are absolutely lovely, and there's that beautiful connection of you kind of have a bit of a banter, a bit of a joke when you go in, out of the office. And that allows me to appreciate that space so much more,
Yeah,
right?
amazing. Yeah.
So we need to create those connections. We need to express what we need.
Yes.
And,
And we shouldn't feel bad about that.
No,
because sometimes the other
never.
person doesn't know that that's, an issue. And I think that's when
you're vibrating at different frequencies.
Yeah,
Like sometimes
and that's going to happen.
Sometimes where we're totally consumed with family responsibilities or totally consumed with finishing a massive project for work and, your life just transforms into that. You forget about the rest of the world. So sometimes we just need to kind of nudge each other. But the importance here is having that clear and open and always sort of like firm but loving communication with each other.
Definitely. I think
it's such a good combination.
It always comes down to communication, wouldn't you agree? And like communicating in a nourishing, positive way, not in a let's reflect on all of the negatives and the you're not doing this and you're not doing that, because it doesn't really lead to anything. It's very unproductive. But if we can go into and say, hey, I would really love to do this and this is my need, like how can we make that happen? And so the other person has kind of an action that they can actually do that action, then it's far more productive than kind of reflecting on all of the things that haven't happened in the past and putting a little plan together.
So one of the things that I would encourage our listeners to do is to find a way that is really healthy to express what you need. And one of those things would be I'm just going to use my example this week. I said to Tracey, I feel like we need to connect and make a time for us to do that activity that we said we were going to do.
Yeah.
And let's come together and figure out some dates that work for the two of us.
Yeah.
Right?
Perfect.
And
very clear understanding of like what the need is and then, what the expectation is as well.
And none of this, you haven't answered my text, you haven't, none of this blame shifting. People have their own lives and you never entirely know why they're doing or not doing something.
Yeah.
It's up to us to see how we show up to a situation.
Yeah.
It's up to us to say, hey, this is what I would like us to do.
Yeah.
And this is one of the number one things that people are not mind readers. We need to tell the people that we love what we need. So if you are in a situation where you used to catch up with your friends on a regular basis and then both of you or one of you got really busy, it's important to say, hey, it would be really nice if we caught up. Can you let me know when there are some dates, instead of going into, oh my God, I can't believe it's been 4 weeks or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And going into this really kind of dense energy.
Yeah, totally, because you really don't know exactly what's going on or from that other person's perspective. And, not everyone wants to share things with everybody either. I mean, I think that there is a responsibility there as a friend to sometimes not expect other people to share everything with you. Wouldn't you agree? Like sometimes things are just going on. They might not want to talk about it or they might not need to share anything. They might be just processing things on their own. So giving them an opportunity to kind of come back to the table and still nurture your friendship is a really healthy place to be, rather than needing all of the information which they might not be able to provide to you as well. So, yeah, I feel like that was hopefully a really good answer for our listener.
So getting clear on what your needs are and like lovingly but firmly expressing those. I think that, and then following through is such a big part of it. So get together, make a plan. And sometimes if you're frustrated because a text message isn't being responded to, pick the phone up, make a phone call and go, hey, I'm in front of my diary. Yeah. What have you got free? Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
Let's just be, you got to be proactive sometimes because the other person just might not be in a position to pick up the ball. They might not have the energy. So bring a bit of energy to the table, make it happen. Sometimes it's not a tit for tat thing. It's just let's nurture this friendship. And let's just
where
move
do we
forward.
Want to take it from here?
Exactly.
It's about that.
Yay.
So we really hope this has answered your question to our beautiful listener that wrote into us today and to everyone else. And we, we've had really wild and wet weather.
Haven't we?
I know. And we hope everyone is staying safe and happy and, keep your energy up, keep your frequency and your vibration at a really, really high level. Stay connected to your truth, to your essence, and always bring the best part of you, the bits that you want to nourish the most through any situation.
I love that. Alrighty. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.
The information, views and opinions expressed on this podcast should not be used or treated as a substitute for nutritional, medical, psychological or other advice by a qualified health professional. Hosts and guests on the podcast express their own opinions, experiences and conclusions. Nothing in the podcast should be used to diagnose, treat, cure or prevent any medical condition. The podcast is not intended to replace any medical or mental health treatment. All information and advice provided is for general well-being and does not take individual cases into consideration. Neither Tracey Soltis, Kali Alfaro or any sponsor endorse the opinions, views or conclusions expressed or shared on the podcast. Tracey Soltis and Kali Alfaro take no responsibility for any symptoms or consequences as a direct or indirect result of the podcast.